Good evening and salutations, my YNR fans. For the first time in ever of me watching this show, I can say I was impressed. I was impressed because this episode was good. This episode was actually good. I'm still blown away by the fact that I actually enjoyed this episode. Don't get me wrong, it's not like it's a sloth to sit down and watch, but up until this point, this show hasn't really impressed me. It really hasn't. And in this episode, I was like, I am genuinely impressed because I enjoyed watching this episode, and I haven't enjoyed watching this episode since day one. But anyway, getting into this episode, I want to talk about Ashland and Victoria. You know, Victoria used a word that I actually forgot. She said on I think Thursday or Friday. And she was saying something to him, and she was like, "Oh, your contrition." And I'm like, "What? This is a Shakespeare novel? Who talks like that?" I had to sit there and remark on that because I was, they was arguing the first time, and she just said the word contrition. I'm just like, why? Why? Listen, I haven't been watching the show that long. Maybe that's just how she generally talks, but I'm just like, okay. So anyway, he's going on and on and on about how you should have let her burnt in the fire, and you changed me and you love me, and this asshat says the same thing, the same villainous line when he falls for a woman. When the villain falls for the woman, and it changes them, and they're a better person because of them, and it's like now it's like putting all this responsibility on this person. Or you changed me, you made me care. And it was like, bro, you should have cared from the beginning. You should have genuinely been a good person from the beginning. The fact that you're sitting there saying that, well, now you're upset with her because you made her care, it's like, maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation. You wouldn't be doing what you're thinking about doing if you would have been a good person from the start. Just throwing that out there. So anyway, he's going on and on and on and on and on. And, Victoria's not there trying to buy time. Oh, well, my security detail's out there. And if, you don't let me answer the phone, they're going to just sit there and burst on in there. And this guy's like, all right, well, then I guess we're going to have to make this quick. And then he proceeds to sit there and keep talking. So Nick is outside. He's trying to call. He's getting no answer. He's like, you know what? Listen, maybe in bed, whatever. I'm going to let you rest, and I'm just going to go home. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? You came here with all this concern, and then you called, and then you're just like, oh, well, maybe she's asleep. Oh, okay, well, I guess I'll just go home. All right, Victoria, bye. But I guess, I don't know, he got a spider sense or something, and he went around back, and he saw Victoria. She has a fire poker in her hand. She's ready to just take his ass out. Okay, so he comes in there, and he is Big Brother. Okay, he's in Big Brother protection mode. They're going back and forth, and he's all like, "Oh, well, she let me in, and I didn't do anything, and she's still my wife, and we're just having a conversation, and you're gonna stay out of it, bro." Listen, she looks scared, and you're sitting there saying that you need to stay out of this, and I'm gonna talk to her the way I want. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that conversation is not going to work out well. And it doesn't. They go back and forth. And I got to sit there and rewatch it again because I watched it on YT instead of, Paramount. And because I did that, all I saw was a shove or a hit or something. Anyway, he gets knocked to the floor. Gets knocked to the floor. And I'm not gonna lie, when it was going back and forth, he knocked me to the floor. I was like, oh, something actually happened. That was my first. I was like, oh, something actually happened. This I feel like I kind of gotta actually have my ass glued to the seat to sit there and see what's going on. And you know what? Just on the sidebar, this is what these episodes should make you feel like. These episodes should make you feel like you're glued to the seat, that you can't wait for the next episode to happen. It shouldn't just be a mundane sort of episode where you're just like, oh, okay, well, you had some okay moments, and it was fine, and like you shouldn't feel like that. You should feel like you want to sit there and watch the next episode. And hell, my favorite soap opera is General Hospital, and there's days where it doesn't even make me feel like that. Today was one of them, but you know, I feel like sometimes they take these things for granted, and when you have things like that, next thing you don't have AMC anymore. You don't have One Life to Live, and so forth. Anyway, he gets knocked on the ground. Nick looked like he's freaking out. Because here's the thing. Involuntary manslaughter carries a minimum sentence of 3 to 5 years. 3 years on good behavior. Okay? Even if it was an accident. Now, of course, Ashland Locke is crazy, and they can always sit there and spin this. And this is what Nick said as self-defense. Okay, but with that being said, he still has a conscience. Okay, this is what good people still have. Good people have consciences. Okay, and regardless of the situation, the fact that he took somebody else's life, it bothers him. Okay, the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, so is somebody going to call the cops? Somebody? Anyone? Anyone wants to call the cops? No? We're just going to have this man lying on the ground. Now I'm bleeding ketchup. We're just going to do that? Okay, cool. So they decide to call Chance. I don't really understand what Chance is going to do. I mean, maybe they called him so this way he can advise them on what to say and yada, 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 yada. Felt like they should probably just call the cops. Because now you call Chance. Chance comes over here. They're going to sit there and look like guys on the take, covering it up. All sorts of things. But this is where their mind went to. Not calling the cops like they probably should have. So they call Chance. Chance is talking to Sharon. Sharon is actually probably the easiest character's name to remember because, well, that's her name in real life. In real life. So anyway, talking to Sharon. He accidentally starts talking about Ray. Which again is just a waste of potential, but whatever. So, because it's dark and stormy and windy and everything like that, Chance takes the call. He comes down there. Now, Nick is outside. He's like, yo, I need some air. Need some air. And, Victoria Smith, they're trying to calm him down. They decide, let's go back to the house. At this point, you already know what's going to end up happening. We've seen this dozens of horror movies. They come back there, and they're waiting for Chance. Then, next thing you know, they don't see a body. They see a bunch of ketchup on the floor, but they don't see a body. So, Nick, you have nothing to worry about because you didn't kill him. Well, the bad news is now he can sit there and probably try to kill one of y'all. So, this is going to be interesting, and this is the type of stuff that I need to, keep me interested and keep me on my toes and be like, wow, this is good. I can't wait for the next episode. Let's talk about Phyllis for a minute. Phyllis, here's the thing about this whole Phyllis and Diane situation. Okay, I'm a newcomer. I don't know the extensive history or the bad stuff that Diane has done over the years. So when I hear Phyllis talks about Diane and asking Nikki, did you find anything on Diane? We gotta sit there and get Diane. We gotta sit there and get her rid of town. Diane is bad news. And part of me is like, I don't really know. Because part of me is just like, you know, do you not actually have anything else better to do with your day than to sit there and have a meeting of the minds, another meeting of the minds about trying to get rid of Diane? And I'm also sitting there looking at this like, you know, your relationship with Jack crashed and burned, in my guess, because you wanted to go after Diane so bad that you trashed your relationship to do it. And you failed. So now you failed and you don't have a relationship. Maybe this is one of those things you just kind of just step back and be like, you know what? I don't like this woman, but it cost me a relationship. Maybe I should just kind of just step back. Nah, nah, nah. That's not what she's going to do at all. She's plotting with Nikki, and they come up with this plan about trying to get her fired. And I'm just like, this plan just don't sit right with me. And maybe because I'm a person that works really hard at my job, you know, I work really hard at my job to make the money that I make so this way I can do what I want with it. I take that seriously when it comes towards jeopardizing somebody else's job. That being said, again, I don't know all the details and the bad history and the stuff that Diane has done to Phyllis. Because to be honest, she could have done a lot worse. Maybe this is just, you know, I don't know an analogy for that. But maybe it's not as bad as what Diane did to her. Talking about an inside man, they're gonna do something, try to get her fired, and they're trying to think of an inside person to get. And I don't know if they actually got someone. Because they can't get Allie, and Phyllis already turned down the job. Now Phyllis is, because of the hotel, she's like, I can't go back there. I have the hotel to run. But she's like, she has some solution. Now my whole thing is, if Phyllis is involved in this job and things go sideways with Diane, they're going to sit there and blame Phyllis. They're going to blame Phyllis, and but they're going to blame Phyllis. So her standing with, I guess, the people in the community or the people, her friends or whatever, is going to be even lower. I don't know. My whole thing, like, I feel like this is going to blow up in Phyllis' face. In some ways, I feel like Phyllis kind of reminds me of Carly. And I could be wrong, but I feel like Phyllis doesn't really have a lot of friends. She has very few friends, people that can tolerate her and whatever shenanigans that she's going to get into. And the same thing with Carly. And it just so happens that they both, well, one used to run a hotel, and the point is, they were both in the hotel industry, running hotels. So I feel like there's a lot of similarities between Phyllis and Carly. But I could be wrong because I don't have an extensive knowledge the way that everyone else does. Speaking of Diane, now Diane went over the house to talk to Kyle about work. Jack is like, hey, he's not here. So Jack thanks Diane for calling the cops and protecting um, the grandchild, Harrison. So they get to talking. Now at this point, Diane is sitting there talking about, hey, I need your help. Not, just more how to approach something. So she starts playing on his vanity. Because here's the thing, when somebody asks you for advice, there's a part of you that does feel kind of proud that you do have the knowledge and that you can pass it on to somebody else. Okay? And in a way, that kind of lowers this person's guard. So she starts asking about, how do I go about my job? I'm so worried and things of that nature. I want to impress our son, and I want to make sure that I'm doing a good job. And, Jack is like, no one expects you to, you know, be amazing on your first day of work. They just want you to be honest and do what you do best. Um, so he's not there trying to, and she's talking about like, oh, I'm so nervous, I'm so afraid, to sit there and try to show vulnerability. again, to get him to lower his guard. Now, they get to talking about that, and he's giving her advice, and they're laughing it up, and she's all like, "Oh well, give me the same drink that you have," and she starts describing the drink because she knows him so well, so complimenting him. Diane is very. I mean, here's the thing. I haven't watched the show that long, but I can tell even just by that scene, just how calculating this woman is, and that's just to try to get in Jack's good graces. Okay, Lord, well, I want to sit there and say Lord, but other people know all the crap and damaging and dangerous stuff that she has done over the years. Um, so, Jack says a little line because they go back and forth with this play on words or whatever. And, she's all like, oh, I made a bet with myself to try to see if we can be friends. And, they even, one day be friends or whatever. What do you think my chances are? And, Jack is like, you don't want to know. He walks off. Um, probably reminding her that, yo, listen, I'm not a fool. I'm not somebody you're just gonna sit there and snow over. That's just my guess. Or, he still has a bit of the old Jack in him. Now I watched little clips when they did the well, one of those episodes they went up when they did a little flashback. Jack back then was an asshole. And I love that version of him that back then. Okay? This Mr. Rogers version of him now just comes with time and maybe being softer in your old age. Okay? But back then, back in the 90s, when he knew Jackman, there was some line when he was not there talking like, when he was with Diane and he was like, oh, well, mustache got you off my hands or whatever. I'm just like, you say it like she is a parasite or a leech or something. The way he talked to her, like he was dismissing her, was like, sounds like a dick. But he also seems pretty interesting. And maybe a couple of lines that he said in this episode kind of reminded me of that. I don't know when this version of Jack was, but if this was in like the late 90s or whatever, then that sucks me. Because that's when I started watching soap operas. First one was One Like to Live. And then after that was Poor Charles, which got me in a general hospital. And ever since then. Um, Let me double check my notes, but I feel like that's about it. I also generally love this episode. Really enjoyed this episode because they didn't throw in a bunch of cast of people to be fillers. They were just like, we're not doing that. I love that, and I respect that. And I think that's another reason why. Well, I don't know. Why I did this review before I did my I was gonna say guiding light. B&B. Plus the previews towards this one just looked like it was gonna be really good. Especially when Ashland came in there. He was acting like the boogeyman. I was like, I gotta watch this. Because with B&B, it has the edge over the fact that it's shorter. Which means you can digest it more faster and, whatever. But it also leaves you hanging, and a lot of times they just will put in filler episodes. This does that too, but every once in a while, at least one or two of these stories are pretty good. Anyway, let me just double check my notes. I feel like that's about it. I really feel like that's about it. So with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank everyone for watching. If, you know what, I'm just going to sit there and share in this one too. If anyone can share this video, that would be really helpful. Right now, we're at 973 subscribers. And I don't generally like to ask because I know when I'm watching a video and somebody's like, oh, like and share. And it's like, I feel like disliking it just because you told me to do something. So I feel like a hypocrite for saying that. But, I understand where everyone else is coming from now, too. So yeah, if you could share this, this would actually really mean a lot. I think there was one video. I wound up getting like 600 something views. That was more than my GH review. Which, in my eyes, I still think that GH is probably the most popular one out of the four. I could be wrong, but I feel like it is. So yeah, if anyone can sit there and share this video, even if I can have like maybe 2 people share it, that would actually definitely help. So yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I will see everyone in the next video.